What's up, guys? I'm always going to let you know as soon as I learn something new that I think you guys should hear about. I'm going to be the one to tell you. And so here's something that I think you guys should know about. Now, a while back, I run into a problem where my batteries died, and I couldn't figure out why. I restarted the vehicle, charged everything up, and went on a little while longer, a week or two, and then it happened again. So at this point, I knew there was a problem, a pretty good size. I thought the first time maybe I left the lights on or something like that. But after twice, I knew there was a problem. So I started going through and pulling out batteries. I pulled the AGMs in the front out and separated them. I took my other AGM in the front out and separated it. And the supercapacitor that I had hooked up, the Ioxus Ultracap, and I took it out. And I slowly introduced batteries back into the system. So I put the main AGM in the front, which drove the whole truck. And everything was fine with it. It was holding voltage fine. The other batteries tested fine. I put them on charge. And they tested out. They charged up and stayed charged. No problems. I couldn't really test the capacitor because it's got a little computer brain in it, and it only comes on when the alternator is on. When it senses a charge. So I reintroduced things a little bit at a time. I put the lithium battery from Trunked Under Lithium in here, and everything was good. And if you guys are interested in picking this little guy up, which ran my stereo for a long time by itself, this 9,000 or almost 10,000 watts of power out of this little tiny battery, head over to Trunked Under Lithium and use my coupon code CAE10 for 10% off your purchase over there, and they are rock solid. So I literally put the stuff back in real slowly. Then I added the super cap. But this time when I put the super cap in, I changed things up a little bit. So whenever I put the super cap in this time, number one, I painted it black and it's still over there chilling. But I also added a battery isolator. And the way this works is I've got my incoming wires from my front, which run from my alternators up front to this distribution block. The power going out on these two to my Trunked Under Lithium. The ground distribution block, same thing. Ground's going out to Trunked Under Lithium. So when I added this thing in, I hooked up the ground to here like normal. The power though, which is the red wire right here, I ran it over here through this isolator before I hooked it up to the distribution block. So now when the power to the engine is off, the alternator is no longer charging. This cuts this, and so it separates that capacitor from the rest of the system. Now, something else I did just the other day was I added this cooling fan for this amplifier right here, and I added the wiring from my RGB lighting back here to test run it and make sure it's working. And I've still got to clean that up, but that was the key to let me know there was a problem. And I'm just happened to have already solved the problem before, but I didn't even know there was a problem until I had the lights on here. So now that you're all caught up, whenever I added the lights and I hooked them up to the capacitor just because that was a good spot to grab 12 volts and turn it on and off. And of course the capacitor turns on and off with this isolator, and the capacitor itself has a computer that turns it off. I figured it worked just fine, at least for temporary hookup, right? Well, everything was going good, and then a couple of days ago, when I turned the engine off, the lights stayed on. I'm like, why are the lights still on? Good question. Because I cut power to that from the front at this isolator. So the only thing that could be powering those lights was the capacitor. The capacitor was staying on, and I hadn't realized it. So during the time when it stayed on before, back when I had to pull everything apart, it was draining my batteries. And I had no idea that was happening because there was no indicator other than that green light, which I hadn't noticed. But now I had lights inside that let me know it was still on. And fortunately, I have this isolator that separates it. So it's not really a problem per se, except the lights stay on until the capacitor dies, you know, if you wanted to go that route. So anyway, once I figured out that the lights were staying on, I come back here and looked, and sure enough, there was a green light on the capacitor. It was on, and it wasn't getting any charge, but it was still on, right? Yeah. So I went into the app, and I hit the wrench in the app and manually put it into maintenance mode, which turned the lights off. And then yesterday, it did it again. I did the same thing, turned it off. So the moral of the story is, I know this is complicated and it's hard for me to explain. My brain doesn't work right anymore. The moral of the story is, you want to put an isolator on that cap, because there are times when it just won't turn off. It's supposed to turn off whenever there's no charging going to it, but it doesn't always work. And if you're like me and you don't drive constantly, that could be a problem. You want to put an isolator on it so that even when it decides not to turn off on its own, the isolator will keep it from draining your batteries as it slowly depletes its charge. That'll fix that problem. And if you guys need anything car audio related, be sure and head over to Big Jeff. Use my coupon code CAE and get yourself a discount on anything you purchase over there. Of course, Trunked Under Lithium, coupon code CAE10, and then customspeakerpods.com, coupon code CAE to get those speaker pods. And if you guys found this information helpful, maybe it's going to save you some batteries. Be sure and hit that subscribe button down below, and let me know what you think. Anyway, guys, I've tried to record this like 5 times and I'm a scattered mess, so I'm just going to put this together and we're going to leave it like it is. And my brain's just not working right today. Thanks, guys. Peace.